This is the magicwordpodcast.com.
It is the fourth and final day of Abbott's 86th annual get-together and their 90th birthday party. And I want to remind people, by the way, some people have been congratulating me for my birthday because when I sent out the pod letter and I had said this was the 86th anniversary plus a 90th birthday celebration, people thinking it's my 90th birthday. So
you just look like it, Scott.
I sometimes wake up in the morning and feel like that. But I just want to correct people. It's not my birthday. It's the birthday anniversary for Abbott's. And please don't push me. Much older than I already am.
And you know what else? It would have been Harry Blackstone's 90th birthday this year as well.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And this morning I had with me, that was Trixie Bond you heard. Hi, Trixie.
Good morning.
And Ted Danger. Hey, Ted.
Hello there.
So glad that you guys are here then this morning. I want to talk a little bit about just the events in general, like from last evening. We just saw a great show and I haven't had a chance really to talk with many people about that, and that was hosted by Alex Boyce. And then we had another guy from the Tannen's Magic Camp. And that was Ian Rich, and then we had John Reed and the Eversons. And so this guy was a quick rundown over there. Was who stood out over there for you, and what did you think of the show?
I thought it was fabulous. It started out with a little much comedy for me. I was like, where's the magic? And then it hit you strong. It came in good. And I'd never seen the Eversons before. I thought that was spectacular. The Dove Act was fabulous. Mm-hmm.
The Eversons were the two-person mind reading act, and the Dove Act was Alex Boyce.
Oh, yeah.
Just for the listeners, I know.
Yeah, he made a little airplane fly in circles and turned into a dove. I could almost say midair.
It was like a zombie, too. He did the airplane to the zombie moves.
Yeah, he just took a piece of paper and cut it out into the form of a paper airplane and basically converted it into a plane, which made perfect sense. I mean, why would you float an aluminum ball
right.
but he was floating an airplane.
Right in with the other act.
Yes.
He took a bunch of the other act.
John Reed?
John Reed did indeed pull a bunch of kids out of the audience. He took them up on stage and took them on a magical flight.
Oh,
and
that's true,
levitated one of them, and they all...
Chair levitate. It was a chair levitation, but he turned it into a routine with we're on an airplane.
Stage full of kids.
Yes.
They were holding out their arms and everything.
They flew through the clouds, and he took the audience with him on quite a flight.
So, Scott, last night, that was a highlight of kids, young adults, that attended Tannen's camp in the past. Mm-hmm. Most of them attended at least 10 to 16 years. And I thought they were amazing. Their creativity, their twists on standard effects was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And the professionalism of Alex Boyce and John Reed, the other guy...
Ian Reed. Ian Rich.
Yes, mm-hmm. Yes. Although his humor may
more
not...
adult.
Yes. But they were so professional, different twists, and made my heart soar that these young people, I think our profession is alive to see these graduates of Tannen's camp.
Wow, very well put.
Yeah.
That's true.
And the child handling reminded me, I should say, of Dave Williamson the night before, who was a master child manipulator. That
Quite
was
literally.
a spectacular show. First time I'd see David Williamson, and incredible.
Yeah.
I got to say, he is what everyone's spoken him to be.
Well, you were invested a little bit in John Reed's performance because you say your granddaughter was on stage there? Or?
No, I had two nieces that were celebrating their 9th birthday. They're twins. He brought them up on stage.
Oh, they were adorable. They had little crowns on their heads, and boy, what animation those two girls had.
And their smiles.
They look like future stars as well.
Those are my future box jumpers, I must tell you. They're in dance class, and I asked them before if they'd be comfortable if they were plucked out of the crowd. And
boy, were they. They certainly were.
No hesitation there.
Absolutely not. They were so cute. The one had a little poise. A pose.
Immediately.
Yes, immediately.
And the way she put her legs out, also her knee, like professional dancers.
And she cracked the biggest smile across her face, too.
Yeah.
What? She's little starlet in the making there.
It must be all those dance classes and the tap and everything else that they do. And they just got back from camp that day as well, summer camp. So they're having a blast.
Well, as a family entertainment myself, and have done thousands of kid shows, I really admire John Reed, the way he handled those kids and manipulated their energy and did the participation and kept control of them. And we saw that right on stage because he had his chair levitation in the middle and 8 kids on one side.
Symmetry was perfect. Yeah.
Right, and 8 kids flanking the other side so you could see straight in. And watch the reaction of the kids on stage was half of it as well.
My nieces were both dressed the same, and I loved it when he said, I hate it when people dress the same, and his assistant walked out with the purple shirt and the black pants that matched him to a T. He was so spontaneous, and his improv was amazing.
I thought the whole evening show was one of the better ones because of the way that Mike Miller had produced this by having such diverse people. I mean, with a dove worker, we had a comedian, we had a children's show entertainer, and the mentalists of the mind reading. Completely different type of personalities and presentations to show the audience. I just wish it would have been even more people here. It was getting to be a packed house each night. There were more and more people coming, but it was I think the registration here was about 400 or so, and they have people in the bleachers each evening that are continuing to come in. So.
And I want to say that Alex Boyce really impressed me. I know you've seen him many times, but that was my first time to see him in person. Mm-hmm. His Dove productions were absolutely flawless. His choice of music really appealed to me.
Command of the stage.
And to me, he's like the Michael Bublé of magic that's coming up. That's just his presentation. He had a great vibe, and he has it. The it factor. He has it.
Yeah, he's 27 years old, and I had, just for you listeners out there, I recently recorded an episode with him. We found a private room here where it was quiet, and so you can look forward to hearing more about who he is, because he will be somebody who will be a force to be reckoned with in future years and decades as the years go on, certainly.
He did these Dove productions in a very tailored, slim business suit.
You would never expect doves coming out, and a bunch of them.
I mean, he did the throwaway dove to scarf, and I'm like, there were no tail pockets.
Right.
He was fabulous.
Yeah.
Really.
He's really thought things through.
I was curious why all those Dove guys were in the house last night. I did spy Jason Byrne and Michael Trix, and then the guy with the lamppost with that big bus outside.
Oh, Lance Burton.
Yeah, Lance was here as well.
Wink, wink. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great show.
It was a great show. Well, speaking of Abbott's then in general, how many times have you been coming to this?
I started 4 years ago, and I made a commitment I'll be here every year until I'm out in the lawn. It's very much a personal, family, comfortable thing, and you get to know the people here, and it's very relaxing. I'm here partially to learn and partially to relax and see friends, primarily to see friends. And fun is the key word. Yeah. I'm always shopping for more fun.
Where are you from?
I'm a native San Franciscan, and when I saw a film called The World's Greatest Magicians at the Magic Castle, I had an epiphany. I decided that very second I was going to be a magician. My father was a magician. He had been invited to work with Harry Blackstone Jr. and travel with him, but since he had 2 children, he passed up on that. And so it's very strange that I wind up here under these circumstances.
Have you told Gay that story?
Yes, I have. And initially, she thought it was senior, but I tracked down the years. It was actually junior who invited him to come along.
Yeah, you're not that old. My father was a magician as well. Yes.
You're both second generations.
That's exactly right. And, I grew up with, Bev Bergeron and Doug Carnegie, Walter Blaney, and Doug Carnegie and Bev Bergeron were assistants to Willard, and I know Bev worked with Blackstone Jr. as well.
And, of course, Mark Wilson.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
He's a Texan as well.
Alakazam. That's true. What's been a memory for you? You've been coming for a few years, and you've kind of come to the point that's like...
Yep. This is one I don't want to miss. It was on my bucket list to attend an Abbott's because, I grew up reading about it in all the magazines forever, but been working. I didn't have it's right in the middle of library season and all of that. So kind of recently cut back, retired from performing full time, and I really wanted to come here. And man, after the first one, I said, no wonder.
Yeah.
It's just like he said.
See what it's all about.
400, 500 people, but it is warm, it's friendly. The town of Colon is adorable. Nothing like I've ever seen before, with the big hats and planters in front and everybody catering to magicians, and the love they have for magic in this town is like nothing I've ever seen before.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so important.
It's so receptive.
Yes.
Let me add something to that. You know, when I had that epiphany from watching that film, that the performers were Steve Spill, Rudy Kobe, Tina Lerner, Lance Burton, Kevin James, yeah.
He's a Michigan guy.
He's from Michigan.
Yeah, I sit next to him last year. We have the same MO for finding best seats in the house here. Anyhow, none of the acts were even remotely similar to the others.
Yeah.
None of them had anything in common except magic. And it was that realization that caused me to desire to get into magic. Is you can cut your own path. You don't have to be like anyone else.
Yeah.
It can be unique.
Well,
very well put.
That's good. A lot of people don't realize that. That's important to be unique. I mean, you see other things and you take ideas, and that's why I think that Tannin Camp is just incredible. What it instills, the imaginative thinking, and to think outside the box and do different things.
Teaches them the basics, but then to take that
Yes.
and be their own person and put their own personality into it.
And all the people that teach that Tannin's Camp. Amazing. I was too old when it was invented. Darn.
I had heard when we were watching it yesterday, the lecture, there was a question from the audience of saying, is there a camp like that for people who are over 60?
I was sitting right next to the guy that said that, and he meant it.
Well, when I talked to Matt Schick, he was saying every time we give this, that question always comes up. He said, all the adults all wish that they could go back to Hogwarts, you know. It's been great. Guys, thank you very much. I appreciate your time over here. Thanks a lot for coming. That was Ted Danger and Trixie Bond. This is Scotty out. The evening shows we've been talking about here, just with Ted Danger and with Trixie, and all the shows over the weekend, and for that matter over the last almost 40 years, wouldn't be what they are without having a great stage crew and managed by a stage manager, and that would be Mark Holstein. Hey there, Mark.
Hey, Scott. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Very good to see you,
Good to
and
see you,
congratulations
as always.
again. As I know Mike always brings the people in, but you manage them. I mean, you're the one who herds the cats. You know?
Yeah, although, most of the acts we work with here are completely professional, so that makes it a lot easier when they know what they're doing and know what they need, and then our job is to give it to them.
Yeah. And so they come in with certain parameters. I mean, as a professional, they know we want this light or this kind of wash or whatever.
Exactly,
So.
and then because we know this room, we can translate it because, we had Thursday night all Las Vegas acts, and of course this is not a Las Vegas theater, and so we're able to take what they need and translate it to our facility, and I think we make the shows look pretty good.
Well, you have a great cohesive team and who have worked together for so long, and so the sound and light and everything works well with each other, and people know, okay, I'm going to go help out. For an example, where there might be somebody needing some help up and down the steps or something. I've seen Steve Chesday run around or something. It's like, I need to fill in. I'll do whatever's necessary,
That's precisely right. I mean, this is not a union crew. These are all magicians. They love magic. They want their fellow performers to look good, and so they really work extra hard to do that. So it's a joy to manage them.
Have you ever had any of these acts who have said, can you travel with me or can you help me with...
Occasionally we have. We've been asked from time to time to do some of the national conventions where they'll say, give us a price for the whole package.
Wow.
And I frankly have turned that down.
Yeah.
Primarily because one of the joys here is that Greg and Debbie Bordner leave us alone. There are no additional cooks in the kitchen here. It's my stage for 4 days, and no one bothers us.
Right.
And I like that a lot.
And all the equipment, is that owned by Abbott's, or who brings us in, or are they individual people? Or
It's a mixed bag. The curtains are owned by Abbott's, the lighting and some of the sound equipment we rent. The primary sound system is owned by my friend Brian LeBeau, who brings it and sets it up.
From Chicago?
Milwaukee, actually. Or Wisconsin, not right in Milwaukee. So it's a mixed bag. But, then we come in on Wednesday and we set it all up.
And it's amazing how quickly you can get it all set up and then torn down even faster, of course.
Yeah, it comes down faster than it goes up. But, yeah, we get everything. The lighting gets hung before we get here, and then we get everything else set up on Wednesday morning. We're usually done by 1 o'clock.
Mm-hmm. I remember a few years ago when I was not at Abbott's, but I was at Magic Live, and I was telling Steve Chesaday that I saw some of your posts on Facebook about how that you were still tearing down last night, and I was standing in line next to him, for registration. I said, how can you do that? And then I realized the secret, so I've been doing that. So that's why I'm going from here immediately to Vegas also. So it can be done.
It can be done. I've done it. When you have a day job, it's hard to get that much time off. And this is my primary commitment, so I'm here. I haven't missed one since 1978.
Do you perform much anymore?
Not a lot. The problem for me, and it's interesting because I saw this happen with the pandemic. When you're performing all the time and somebody asks you to do a show, it's no problem. You just do it. And now for me to do a show, there's a lot of preparation to get back to where we were. Yeah. So no, I don't really seek it out. And we'll be doing in October the Heroes Night Out north of Austin, which I think is a great charity that JD is involved with.
JD Stewart in Austin, Texas, that we have. Our local ring, IBM Ring, meets there at what's called Heroes Night Out, which is a place for not wounded veterans. They're just
veterans.
Veterans.
And they do an evening for them once a month, where they bring in the veterans and their families, and they feed them and then provide a show. And so when we performed for the club, we donated our fee to that charity because I think it's an amazing charity, and so we're looking forward to doing that with JD. Yeah.
But for those who may not know Mark or some of his background, he is a stage illusionist, having performed even on the Bozo Show multiple times, and even the last one, right?
It's one of the great thrills of our life because I grew up in Chicago, grew up with the Bozo Show. Which people outside of Chicago may not be familiar with. But the statistic I always give is that one year at a festival at the Lakefront in Chicago, the first night they had Frank Sinatra, and he drew 800,000 people, which is an amazing crowd. Yeah. The following night, the Bozo Show was on, and they drew over 1 million.
1 million. More than Frank Sinatra.
More than Frank Sinatra. That's how popular that show was.
Yeah.
So when the show finally was coming to an end, they decided to do a 2-hour network television special. Yeah. And Marshall Burdine, my great friend, was over at the house, and we were brainstorming ideas for him to perform as Wizzo. And I said, what about the backstage illusion? You could produce one of the clowns. And he said, oh, that's a great idea. I love that. Let me talk to Al, the producer, and I'll call you tomorrow. It's great. So the next day, he called and said, it's all set. You're on the show. You're going to do the backstage illusion.
Wow.
Yeah, that was my reaction. I would have been happy to be there pushing a broom.
Yeah, well, it's nice to know somebody on the inside, particularly. It was Wizzo the Wizard.
Absolutely. So it was 2 days of rehearsal at WGN Studios, which was memorable in every way. And then we did the performance. It wasn't live, but filmed as if live. And we produced Don Sanderson from the Backstage Illusion. He was Sandy the Clown. And then we were followed by the Smashing Pumpkins, who called into WGN and said, we hear you're ending the show, and we'd love to be on.
Wow.
And so they came down and performed Forever Young. Which was just chilling, and they didn't take a fee. Yeah. Their only requirement was that they would hit the drummer in the face with a pie, which they happily obliged. So that also happened. It was a great experience, and every network was there covering it. David Letterman did a top 10 list that night about it. It was a big deal. So it was really a thrill.
Yeah, that was I'm sure a memorable thing.
Yeah, it really was.
That was a lot of fun. I have asked you this in years past, but what would you say of all the years you've been doing this? Almost 40. What is it?
Yeah, well, I've been coming since 1978, and I started on the stage, I think, about 1982.
Okay.
So Yes.
So since then, you've seen a lot of people come and go, and you're seeing it from a completely different perspective, from the side and backstage and, and inside out and everything.
I would say we see a different show.
You do see a different show. And is there one memory that sticks out, whether it might have been the way that you had worked with someone or at a particular... whatever.
Yeah, funny you asked that, because at the next history conference, which will be in Las Vegas, I'm going to do a talk about 40 years backstage at Abbott's.
Man, I can't wait for that.
That'll be fun. And so I'm thinking about some of those stories. Gosh, there's so many. I mean, I was telling people earlier about when we put the entire Blackstone Broadway show on this stage.
Yeah.
All the big illusions and, everything except the elephant we did here. That was really memorable. I think about the first time Jeff McBride was here and literally blew the roof off the place. It was such an incredible performance.
Wow.
But there have been so many over the years. It's really hard to single anyone out. Every year it seems like we have a couple of acts that just blow the doors off. And, I think the Thursday night show this year with Mike and Mike
Caveney and friends.
Yeah, it was fabulous.
That's gotten to be, it used to be years ago as a left-handed leg, or it was the Long Beach Mystics, and what it's morphed into is now Mike Caveney and friends.
Yeah, and it's really simple. Mike always says the same thing. My only goal is to be the best show of the week. And I would say more often than not, he pulls it off.
Yeah.
And, having Piff here was a great treat. He's become a pretty big star in our world, and I think they sold a lot of tickets to the public because of Piff, which is great.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a fantastic show. But last night, the Tannen show was great.
I love that Tannen show.
Yeah, I agree. So it's really, every year there's something that really stands out. And there's nothing that's bad. It's just some a little better than others, and that's okay.
That's a good way of putting it. Like Beluga caviar is different than Dom Perignon, but they're both different.
Exactly. And we see Mike is such a great producer, and he finds great variety. And so we've had family entertainers, we've had mentalists, we've had illusionists, which is getting harder to find, and so we've just had a great variety of different styles of magic.
And I like the way that the shows are produced, so you don't have to end a show with illusions when you do have an illusion.
Right. No, that was the traditional model.
Right. You open with Dove and close the illusion.
Exactly. And that's fine, but I think it's fine to mix it up. And, you wouldn't necessarily think of Chris Capehart as a closing act, but it was great. And, so I agree. Last night we closed with the Evasons, and I thought that worked perfectly.
It was. I was just talking with Ted Danger, and he said that's the first time he'd ever seen the Evasons.
Oh,
and he said, I was completely blown away by that.
Oh, yeah.
And Trixie was saying, they're my favorite two-person mind-reading duo. I mean, there are others, Tommy Tan and others.
Sure.
But of all those I've seen, she said, I just love them the most.
Yeah, they just have, to me, a very natural
they
style.
Do, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
And when as you know them personally as I do, they're the same on and off stage.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like they're having a conversation, and when you know what they're doing, it's pretty amazing.
Pretty amazing. Yeah. It really is.
So no, totally enjoyed that, and they were a delight to work with.
Yeah.
True
pros.
Very much so. And that makes our lives easier.
Makes your job easier.
It's tough when sometimes can be tough when you work with an act that doesn't perform a lot and they don't really know backstage. And the other thing we're encountering a little bit now is people who make the transition from close-up to the stage, and they don't really know the stage craft part of it. And so we help them as much as we can, but that can be a little bit of a challenge. In fact, I'm doing a lecture in Austin next month talking about stagecraft, and one of the things I'm going to talk about is even if you're only doing close-up, it's important that you know some things about stagecraft.
Is that going to be at our SAM or IBM? SAM, I'm assuming. Is it going to be one at the Hilger House?
Yes.
That's the SAM.
Okay, great. Thanks for
we have
that
fantastic. You're okay, because the other one's a Heroes Night Out.
Yeah.
So the Hilger House is the place where the attorneys meet.
Exactly.
And we have had just this last month Brian Brushwood, and the month before that we had C.J. Johnson. We've just had a tremendous lineup of people who have given lectures.
So now you'll be stuck with me. But I'll tell you a little secret. I'm bringing some secret weapons with me. Nick and Ray are coming.
Awesome.
And so we'll have some real pros on stagecraft.
Yeah, really talk about stagecraft. It was kind of funny whenever Brian started talking. In fact, he jumped right into his his lecture, basically. He had like a pre-lecture or something. We never got around to having a board meeting, it's a regular SAM meeting. We thought, okay, he's going to stop for a minute, but people were asking questions. Before long, he just kind of said, well, while we're in it, he kept going. So
well, look, if it goes like that, I'll be delighted, because I'd much rather it be a conversation where we talk about things people are interested in.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that.
Of course, Brian's consummate professional as well.
Of course. Yeah.
And he's been doing the Scam School for such a long time, and then now the World's Greatest Con, which is another podcast that I recommend for people to go and listen to.
I haven't heard that one.
Oh, he's got one that was on there. It was about, he's got the Alpha Project. We talked about, Vanacek some years ago. The first one, I believe, it was something to do with World War II. I don't know if you've seen the Project Mincemeat. It's about it's a true story, World War II, where they fooled the Germans, Nazis, into thinking that the Allied forces are going to land at a different beach, and they had used this magical kind of subterfuge, and it was interesting. In fact, I talked to John McLaughlin, who was, acting FBI chief, and he said, yeah, absolutely, 100% true. Wow. And an interesting movie, great story. He put that into the Greatest Con because we had conned the Russia. I keep saying Russia. I'm looking at this shirt. Of course, that's a German kind of shirt. You've got
tonight's a German show.
Show. That's why you're wearing a German. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
First, I was thinking maybe this is a Blackhawks jersey that you're wearing, but it's like, tonight's a German show. Exactly. And so, I'm sorry for the people who are listening to. What is he talking about? I'm going to take a picture of him. Go to the Magic Word Podcast, today's blog, and I'm going to post this picture then of him, and you can see the jersey he's wearing. But it's not a Nazi flag. It's definitely not. It's a German.
The German
Holstein wouldn't be wearing that.
Right. So anyway, I know it's going to be a fun show. I know these guys from prior appearances, and they're a lot of fun. And it'll be very artistic, and I think the audience is going to be in for a real treat.
They really are, and they have been treated to some wonderful magic already, and also to a great conversation here with you. Thanks, Mark.
I appreciate that, Scott. It's always good to see you.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say it's always good to see me. I mean, see you too. So, the Magic Word Podcast. That was Mark Holstein. Scotty out. When you go around the town of Colon, between the downtown and the high school, there is a narrow strip of highway, kind of less than a half mile, I guess, between the school and downtown. And there are a lot of tents that are set up along the way that line the street so that you can buy some magic, that are used magic and books and things like that. But one of the places also that you need to stop, because you kind of get tired and hot and hungry, is to stop by and get a rabbit ear. It's more or less a funnel cake, but they're rabbit ears and some water. And I got the proprietor over here, and this is Kay Decker. Hey, Kay, how are you?
Hi. Doing great.
So you've been doing this for a number of years and making this. And so how long have you actually been doing this?
We've been doing this for about 30 years now.
30 years. Is that right?
About 30 years, yep.
Wow. And how'd you get the idea of rabbit ears?
Well, actually the rabbit ears started long before I come along, and it was started with the women of the fire department, the wives of the firemen, and they started it in these little square fryers. They had 5 of those, and that's how they started it in a tent. Well, then the firemen got together and they built a small wagon on wheels and put a couple fryers in it, and that's how rabbit ears were born. When they started aging and couldn't run the crew anymore, they sold their old wagon to me for $1 so that I could earn money to put on the 4th of July fireworks show. And we grew from there. A couple of years went by, and the trailer factory just outside of town surprised us with a beautiful brand new trailer. This happened about 12 years ago. Okay. And we try to keep it new. Yeah. And they knew I was looking to buy a used food truck because I actually my little body fell through the wall when I leaned against it. And I couldn't even find a used one for less than almost $20,000.
Wow.
They called me up one day with a surprise. Their employees had taken their own time. The company supplied all the supplies for it, and they presented it to me.
With the overhead fan and the grill and everything?
They had 2 air conditioners even put in there because they knew how hot it got. Yeah. But the heat from everything burned up both of those air conditioners within 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So have you replaced that or not?
No, we got a better ventilation system, and those fans that are over my fryers now, the suction's so hard that yesterday it locked my door. I couldn't get out.
Wow.
So We have a really good ventilation system now, and it's much better than the air conditioning because the air conditioning was just overheating.
So when you're making the rabbit ears or funnel cakes, like it's really not a funnel cake. I can't call it a funnel cake.
It's made out of bread dough.
Okay.
And we flatten the bread dough by hand. It's just like an elephant ear when you go to the fair. The elephant ear, the difference between that and ours is the elephant ears usually go through a press, and these are all hand done.
Okay. Yeah, see on the counter here that how they're laid out, and
yes,
that
sir.
you're just kind of like a pizza dough. If you're making it home, you just kind of push it with your fingers.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. You just you flatten it out and make sure you get some little holes in the center so that the oil will bubble up through.
Oh.
And when the hole starts to turn a little brown, you know that side is ready to be flipped over in your grease.
And then how long does it take whenever you pop
There's
in the...
3 minutes from start to finish. From the time I cut that piece of dough until I hand it to the customer, it takes us exactly 3 minutes.
Yeah, I know when I just had that, it was hot and tasty.
Yes.
And then you put cinnamon and sugar on.
Cinnamon and sugar, yes, sir.
Okay, that's all that's dusted on there.
That's all it's dusted.
And,
We keep it real
loving
simple.
kindness, love.
That
and butter.
Everything is made with love. The trailer was made with love and donated. Our supplies are given to us either with donations or everything's by donation and volunteerism.
Yes. Well, that's what we've been talking about all weekend long as I'm talking with the registrants about how this is such a cooperative and compliant group of people who love being around each other, and they'll help and they share.
We're one big family.
And that's exactly the word, family.
One big family. This is my magic family. And I am so proud to be a part of it. I know people from all over the world, and if it wasn't for this, I wouldn't have been blessed to meet some of these people.
Well, I'm sure that you do, because I was about to say that you don't really get to see except the evening shows because you're going to be over here working, but actually the world comes to you.
Yes, yes. They all come to me with a smile, and I try to give them a smile and something good to eat back.
Something for their stomach.
That's right.
From your soul to theirs.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Feel good food.
Yeah. And so I can't see where you're ever going to stop this until you drop.
Well, I was told I'm not allowed to even die, that when I die, Keith Bauer, which I call myself Sparkle's mama, he's just as much Sparkle's daddy because he helps me with everything I need in here. And he told me that I'm not allowed to pass away. He will chain my body to one of them fryers, and I will be here every magic week with my smile.
Yeah. Explain who Sparkles is, by the way.
Sparkle is the rabbit that makes all the sky light up during the 4th of July for our little sleepy town. Our town only has anywhere between 1,000 to 1,200 people in it.
Yeah.
And we put on a $10,000 fireworks show.
Wow.
And it's all done by donations. We don't have any huge sponsors for it. The village market, they give us discounts on the bread dough. And the other businesses in the area, well, like Magic Capital Grill, they donated all of our oil, which is about $200 worth of oil.
Right.
The businesses, 3 different businesses, donated the money for those 2 brand new fryers that are sitting there. That was the Shell Mart, Gilbert Shell. Pam Gilbert's the owner of that. Curly's Bar with Casey Earl, Dan Earl, Kathy Earl, and Carl Thornton of 5 Star.
Of course, yeah. I figured Carl was thrown in there, too.
Yep.
Everybody's helping everybody.
Yes.
Well, and you're helping also, just to kind of wrap up over here, you used to be a florist in town.
Yes.
And now you're the one who puts the flowers on the grave sites in the Magician's Graveyard.
Yes, sir, I do.
Yeah. I don't think everybody knows or appreciates all the work that you do on that.
We have to show those people respect because Colin wouldn't be Colin without those people.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I want to just show my little bit of respect to them and say thank you for making Colin what it is.
Well, and I want to thank you also because I'm a member of the Colin Lions. I've already got my headstone out there. I feel like I'm a Colinite in a way.
You are. You're a very big part of Colin.
So on behalf of the rest of the people, residents and magicians who visit, I want to thank you for what you do also. And tell everybody, by the way, too, as far as where you always park your van, it's always in the same place. You want to explain how to get here?
Yep. If you're in the middle of town and you just go due east, I am right at Bauer Station on the corner of State and Dallas.
In Dallas, which is where you would turn to go down to the high school.
That's right.
And they've usually got somebody selling fresh corn on the cob over there then, too. They got, when I say corn on the cob, it's just fresh corn that you could take home, and it's delicious corn.
Oh, yes. The Bauer family, they are big volunteers in this community, and when anybody needs anything, usually the Bauers are right there.
They're stepping up.
Always stepping up. And they not only run the Bauer Towing, but they own farmland, and they grow the corn and the pickles and the tomatoes, and they're a fantastic family.
So again, if you're going to be attending at least the last couple of days, because you're only here on Friday and Saturdays, then usually of this, be sure next year, after I post this, the convention will be over. So next year when you come, make sure you stop by over here, and you'll see the band that says Rabbit Ears. Come see Kay. Say hey.
Yep, it says world famous rabbit ears, and we are world famous.
Indeed you are. And they're delicious. I recommend them. So with the Magic Word Podcast, that was Kay Decker. Scotty out. It is Saturday afternoon, and we're on the lake over at Jerry Costello's house, and this is one of the last parties, kind of going-away parties. There'll be another one later tonight, but this is a great afternoon and beautiful weather after the rainstorm that we had yesterday that flooded the dealer's room, actually. Yep. But today we're just enjoying a little food and fellowship and some having an Aperol here. It's very good. Aperol Spritz. And so I've got Mike Powers with me, who's been a long-time attendee of not only this, but also at the 4F convention, and author of so many books, and now he's retired physics teacher, just kind of relaxing in the card world. So what have you been up to late?
Well, that was a good description. You encapsulated me in a couple of sentences. I stand behind all those statements, too.
I'll put that in your obituary.
Yeah, well,
100 years from now, hopefully.
It's been 4 books. You know, like Harry Lorraine used to say, it's like birthing a baby, and it's like hard to think of doing another one. But I've got my Card Corner column.
No pun intended. Hard to think of another child, I guess. Okay.
The Card Corner column, I've got like 205 Card Corner columns in the Linking Ring.
Wow. How many years was that?
I think it's like 12 years. Yeah, divide by 12, whatever. It's like 12, 14 years, something. Yeah. A lot of years. And so I have all those written up. I'm thinking of doing the best of the Card Corner, taking the easy way out, getting 25 really solid tricks, doing one final book before I get too old to do it anymore. But,
how far away are you from completing that?
Well, I have to start it.
Oh, so, this is just up here in your mind right now.
This is theoretical. But
I got you.
But now that I'm putting it on your show,
you're committed.
I may have to do it now. Because next year you're going to go, how's that project going?
You know I will.
I know you will. I'll have something to tell you. But we were talking about just thinking of back in Abbott's. I've been here many, many, many times.
Yeah.
And the main thought is meeting my wife here about 31 years ago. We probably told it on here before, but we revisit the spot on the main drag down in Colon of where we met that fateful day. A year later, we were married, and we just celebrated 30 years of marriage on April 1st.
Congratulations.
So we'll get that out of the way. Now to other things. But, if you say Abbott's, the first thing I'm going to think of is seeing the floating light bulb with Harry Blackstone Jr. so many times. He would almost always do it. And I just couldn't believe that trick. I mean, I was a new guy in magic when I came here the first few times. Never even heard of this. I didn't really know Blackstone. So let's go to Abbott's. It's magic. This will be cool. And that light bulb is floating out near me. I'm going, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
This light bulb is floating above my head out here.
Yeah.
And it goes shooting back to the stage. I mean, the feeling of magic, wow. So then the idea that maybe I could learn to do something that would even scratch the surface for somebody else to see something that I might produce as a magician.
Yes.
So I think that's all of our goals is to come up with something that is going to give somebody a great experience. And that was such a model of doing that.
What a great story.
Yeah.
How that would influence you not only to pursue a career and a passion of magic, but also the importance of passing on a good experience to people in the future.
Sure. I mean, that you do have that feeling. You can't imagine what it feels like. Maybe you've seen them do that, haven't you, Scott?
What?
Are you young enough to or old enough to remember Blackstone here?
I was not here when he was here.
Okay. So you never had that experience.
No.
But, I mean, he prefaced it to push it a little bit further. So that was like a single light bulb that you might screw into a lamp that's floating by itself out over the audience, seemingly under his control. Are you kidding me? Then previous to that, he's got this light bulb that he took. Oh, it's the same light bulb. He took it out of a lamp, and it's still lit in his hand. And he walked around in the audience and held it up in front of somebody's face, and it floated in the front, right this guy's face. He took a hoop off of his head, put the hoop all around it. It's like, where are the wires? What the hell's going on here? You know, so those were just as hard to beat as an incredible experience. So I was new to magic at the time. I knew some stuff, but I had never seen anything like that.
My first experience of seeing Harry Blackstone perform saw his full evening show with the elephant and everything. He was at the Performing Arts Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1978. And the reason I remember that so distinctly is because my wife was about 9 months pregnant with our first child, and she was afraid that her water was going to break at the show. She said, "What are you going to do?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. We'll have to get a taxi or something. You know, you'll have to get to the hospital, and I'll see you there later." You know, but... And I think that was on a Friday night, and actually the water broke on a Sunday morning, so it was short thereafter.
So you were dedicated enough to going to the magic show that you took your wife, who was about to have a baby.
That's correct. Yeah. And yes, and I remember going backstage and getting a chat with him for a little bit and take some pictures.
Right.
And when I think back about that, about how brash I was to think, I want to go back there. But I think the reason I did is because there were some other local magicians in Tulsa that said come with us, and so they'd already kind of been pre-approved to come back, but because you don't go back, with Frank Sinatra and say, "Hey, I'm a singer also,"
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that's right.
What makes magicians think they can go back and talk to somebody like that?
Sure. That story reminds me of Mike McGivern, whom you might know from
Sure,
Fectors.
I remember Mike.
He hasn't been to Fectors for a while, but his story...
I remember he used to play at Monk Watson. He had a great party, and he would play the guitar.
He played
was it bass, or what was it?
No, it was a
Keyboard?
ukulele.
Ukulele.
He was a ukulele, real good player. He was a bass player, but he played the ukulele and he would sing some stuff. He did a set at Fectors with a vanishing something in a ukulele. It was crazy.
Wow.
But on his, he had gotten married, and the day he got married on a day, supposed to go on his honeymoon, and he said, "I've got to go to Fectors." And his wife said, "I understand." And he went to Fectors. It was like, "I just got married yesterday. Well, what are you doing here?" You got to go to Fectors. Right? So, similar story, right?
Yep.
But,
now I haven't seen Michael in quite a while.
He used to see him here. He's from Michigan.
Yes.
And I think he had some carpal tunnel issues.
Yep.
I hope he's doing okay. But
I remember him wearing those wrist braces.
Yeah, he had the wrist braces on. In fact, actually, you want to know how he got those wrist braces?
No. How? I don't know how.
I think partly from twisting balloons and having some, repetitive stress. But when the first time he had them on, he was telling me how he got them. He said, "I was sitting in a chair, and the chair was like tilted back. So you saw how sometimes you take a hard chair and you kick it back, so you're up on the back two legs.
Yeah,
you're kind of, it feels good because you're back on an angle." So he said he closed his eyes and he was kind of relaxing back there, and he was showing me physically what happened, which we can't do here. So you could have visualized this. And he said he opened his eyes and there was a bat flapping its wings right in front of his face.
My God.
And he went, "Whoa!" And he tipped over backwards, put his hands out, and fractured both wrists.
Sorry, somebody that looked like
Wow.
gave me.
So that's how that happened.
Now that's a legit story. Gee. Yeah, Dracula had appeared right in front of him all of a sudden.
You want to guess how I got these? Well, how many people guessed did a bat appear in front of your face and cause you to fall backwards?
Yeah, a real
my
bat.
God.
Wow.
Yep. So I thought there's no way to make up that story.
No, that's believable. Yeah. Well, Mike, always good seeing you over here, and Maria down, always say just a few doors down over here sitting by us.
Great to see you, Scott.
Good seeing you, and look forward to seeing a great show here tonight. And also, we're going to see the Germans, some of the guys we see at Fectors.
Yeah, I was talking to
Clemens Ilgner.
Clemens last night about his little box that he did in his lecture.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't see the lecture because I'm not registered for the whole convention, but I think maybe he's going to be in my session at Fectors this year because it's about boxes. I thought, man, I got to get you in there with that box.
Yep.
That'd be really cool.
Yes, that's a good one.
All right.
Yeah. All right, so for the Magic Word Podcast, that was Mike Powers. Scotty out. Just kind of walking around the party, talking to a few people. One of the ones I run into was someone who happens to listen to podcasts. He says, hey, I enjoyed the podcast. And thought we'd talk a little bit about the convention. John Hebler. Hi there, John. How are
Hey,
you?
Scott. How you doing? John Hebler from Chicago.
And so what part of Chicago do you live, by the way?
I live in Andersonville, about a mile north of the Chicago Magic Lounge.
I was going to say, that's where the Magic Lounge is.
Sure is,
so
yeah.
you probably are a regular over there. You remember the Chicago Magic Roundtable?
I am a member of the Round Table, yeah.
Okay,
so,
yeah. They bring in some lectures and everything and all that?
Yeah, Mike Caveney and Matt King lectured just this past Sunday on their way here, and there's good stuff there. Saw Rob Zabrecki lecture there a number of years ago. But
yeah. Oh, you mean for in there?
For the ice, no, for the ice, yeah, for the drinks. Sorry.
I lived in the neighborhood before the lounge opened, so I'm assume the lounge followed me.
And do you go then regularly to see the new people? And I guess also it's near the Rhapsody Theater, so I guess you got to go over to Ricardo Place.
Been up to the Rhapsody a few times. I live not too far from there, and saw Joshua Jay perform there a couple of times in the past year and a half, so that was good.
Not been to that theater, but I understand it's a legitimate theater where you sit down as opposed to the Magic Lounge, which has a bar, and they kind of got a bar seating and kind of like 2 or 3 table with seating for just a few people. Is this more like of a theater where you sit, like in theater style?
Yes, it is. I think it's, well, they don't have theater chairs. They have like cabaret tables and chairs on the main floor. But I believe it's an old vaudeville theater, and the seating's been changed quite a bit. But they have a stage in there and cabaret tables, and then kind of a horseshoe shaped around the rest of the room. So it's a nice house.
How are you enjoying this convention, by the way?
I love Abbott's. I've been coming here every year since I was 15 years old.
So you've got to have a lot of memories. So tell me then, John, one of the memories that perhaps comes to your mind.
Well, the very first year I came here, Scott, Neil Foster was doing what was the farewell performance of the Concert of Magic. And I'm so fortunate to see Neil and Gene do that before he scaled back. And for many years, Harry Blackstone Jr. performed here many, many times, and I always enjoyed the Blackstone show. And, just being at Abbott's, it's about renewing friendships.
It is about renewing friendships, and everybody, that's the common word is family that we hear all the time, here and then too. And
I tell people at work I'm going to a family reunion.
You don't need to go into any more detail than that.
That's enough, right?
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Dysfunctional family, but it's a reunion.
Well, these are the people I would like to spend Thanksgiving with.
Pretty much, yeah. Yep, absolutely.
So thank you, by the way, for listening to the podcast. You said you enjoy, just kind of been tuning in and out.
Yeah, I download it periodically and listen, and you have a lot to catch up on. So every now and then I scroll through and see something that was interesting. A while ago, you interviewed somebody who's an expert on Enverti, and I was kind of interested in knowing more about him. I was aware of that name. So I'll scroll through your archives and say, oh, there's something I want to know about. So,
well, that's what I was curious about, what it is that might be an episode or two that you might recommend if somebody was wanting to get engaged into the podcast. So, well, I want to listen to this one, and then I can get hooked.
Well, I would say it's hard to pick out one, but I'd say look through the archives, and when you see the name of a magician or somebody you may want to know more about, or you've heard that name or not heard that name, just start anywhere. I enjoy your convention reports as well, but I enjoy more just your one-on-one interviews with somebody because you really go in deep with them. So I'd say to somebody who's new, look at the archives, pick out something, or just download the current one.
Well, that's what some people are saying, is that I can't get past the last 100, and that's because of Spotify and the iTunes only go back like the last 100. But if you go to the website, themagicwordpodcast.com, click on the tab, you can go to the archives, and it'll go back to number 1.
Yeah.
And so then you can start downloading those. And we're coming up on 850, which, by the way, I'll tell you in advance, is going to be with David Williamson.
Oh, great.
I recorded this last January. I've been sitting on this for a while because every 50, I consider that a milestone. Hold on. Hey, Trixie, that's my cup. Would you make one for me, too? I was waiting for the ice to arrive. Oh, the Napple are all spritzer. Sorry to interrupt right there, but... But yeah,
I'll look forward to that, Scott.
Yeah, to the archives, and you can kind of, and also it's got a good search engine on the website. That if you just type in, I don't care, Paul Daniels or Tom Mullica or whatever, that it will populate and show any time that those guys have been mentioned or have been on or whatever. So, John, thank you very much for being a listener.
All right, thanks, Scott.
Good seeing you over here then too. Glad you're enjoying the convention. I'm glad it's not pouring down rain tonight like it was last night.
Yeah, we got they got the weather sequenced correctly this time.
I think so.
Yeah.
So, the Magic Word Podcast. That was John Hebler. Scotty out. as we move around the party over here, so many different friends to see, and one of them is a friend of the Magic Order and someone you have heard on the podcast before. In fact, he's been a popular one who people have said, man, I really love that guy's story. And whenever I talk with Michael Tricks, hey, Michael, how are you?
Hey, Scott, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Good to see you, as always.
As you as well. I love seeing you, my man. Yeah. Sorry we don't have a martini in hand right now.
I know.
But because he's one of my fellow martini and cigar smoker buddies. So, when I had posted the one with you, there were some people saying, man, he just laid so much knowledge out there. And you were the first person also who actually came to the interview with an outline of things to make sure that I wasn't going to miss or, something. Because I was going to cover everything anyhow, but the way you had it outlined is kind of like, oh, this is just perfect. It made it so much easier for me.
Yeah, there's a lot in my story, so I had my bullet points ready for you.
Yeah,
those things we wanted to hit.
Yeah.
Touch on.
And it was great. And as I said, because of that, it was so organized, and people were saying, man, maybe I should consider that with future guests. I don't know.
Right.
I kind of like being on
I like it off the cuff, too, when you're just chatting with people.
Impromptu.
I just kind of had a rough outline of it. And, yeah.
You've been coming here for a long time, as well as performing here then as well. And so what are some of your memories of...
Well, I actually had always heard about Abbott's Magic Get Together and had never been until they actually hired me in 2019. So I was in the show then. That was my first time here. And
performed with your buddy Steve.
Yeah, we did the rock and roll night. Chesaday was in the show with me, and we loved it. And I had no idea about the performer awards that they do afterwards.
So you were surprised?
I cried. I got the Neil Foster Manipulation Award, and I said on stage when I accepted the award that I'd always wanted to come here, and I'll always come back, and I've been to every one since. Except that I guess we missed the one maybe with COVID, it was 2019 was right before that.
Drive up, fly up?
I did. I drove. I'm starting out my tour here. I'm on the road for the next 6 weeks. I left the Florida Keys on Wednesday, just went 4.5 hours to Orlando, stayed with a buddy of mine, and then Thursday I drove almost 14 hours from Orlando to someplace in Kentucky, Mount Vernon, and I got 4 hours sleep and drove another 6 hours to here, and here we go. So I just got here yesterday and got a little bit of sleep last night, so I'm feeling better today, and the show was great last night. Looking forward to the Germans tonight.
Yep.
Should be awesome. I love seeing different styles of magic, like the Asian one we had last year. It was amazing.
That Asian show was just off the hook crazy.
It was awesome.
Great.
They even had a rock and roll guy in there, the guy that opened the show, and read the guitars and everything.
Guitar, yes.
It was cool, yeah. So it was fun. And I'm looking forward to the Germans tonight, see what they got. I'm sure it'll be great.
Yeah. Well, I've often said that you are a person who is I can't think of the word I've used, but underappreciated maybe, because I've been a fan of yours for a long time. I like your style. I like your character on stage and the effervescence that you have and the smile that you break that fourth wall so easily. And I say energy. I mean, things are moving along with your act so quickly, with the doves and everything that you do.
Yeah.
I think now, in order to see you, people have to go all the way down to the Keys to see you in a regular place there at Lorelei's. You still work at Lorelei's?
I do. I've been doing 3 nights a week there for 25 years.
Yeah.
And I just leave for these couple months in the summer when it gets too hot down there for me and the birds outside there. But yeah, I know what you're saying. People, might see me and not know me and hear about me and, the rock and roll guys and that. And nobody really knows what to think or expect until they see me live, which Michael Finney helped me out with a lot when I did the Grand Rapids IBM gala show there. A lot of people got to see me there that hadn't seen me before, and gained a lot of respect through that because they got to see me live and see what I actually do, and realize I'm not just some dude walking around in a top hat trying to be a magician. I am a magician.
Not trying to be the singer from Poison.
Yeah, a guitarist from
Guitarist,
Guns N' Roses, yeah.
The Guns N' Roses, sorry. Yeah. And I'm saying this for people who are listening who might be convention organizers. If you're looking for something a little bit different, number one, he's a dove worker, and number two, as I said, the energy is just high level, and people have to take a breath after it's over. I mean, it's you're not just an opener; you're a closer.
Yeah, and which I could be. A lot of people say that, but. Most of the conventions that I do, even when I did Daytona and that one at Grand Rapids, IBM, other ones I've done, they've used me as an opener, which I don't mind because they want to open the show with all that energy that I bring, and it gets people fired up for the show.
That's true too.
But sometimes I often hear that it should have been at the end or a tough act to follow or whatever. But we're all in it together, and as long as everybody has a good time, I don't the order doesn't bother me. But they kind of tend to put the dove acts first because you get them ready backstage. If somebody goes over, your doves are waiting to go on and all that. So. You usually go first, and yeah.
And you're big on social media then as well, so if people want to friend you, they should look up for Michael Tricks. That's TRIXX.
Yep, 2 X's. The Rock and Magic of Michael Tricks is my fan page on Facebook, or just on Instagram or X, Twitter, whatever it is now. It's just at Michael Tricks with 2 X's. Find me, follow me, message me. I reply to everybody on all that stuff. So yeah,
because you keep very active on all that all the time, as to updating and showing pictures and videos of some of your shows. So if you are thinking, okay, well, exactly, Scott, what are you talking about that he does? Well, you got videos out the wazoo, you know.
There is plenty of it there. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on there for my shows, and all the new stuff I put in the show I now buy. I do most of my show to classic rock and roll songs, but with YouTube and stuff, they take it down since you put it up there because of the algorithms finding the copyright stuff. So I kind of just buy now, royalty-free music to use for my new stuff. But I still have all the classic rock songs in there.
Do you use shorts very much? You doing shorts?
I just made a note to myself to start doing that, because now you can use those for, as long as it's 59 seconds or less, I believe. So I can put quick little clips of my show up there with the song that it actually goes to, so they can see the timing of, my show looks so wild and crazy, but it's actually all choreographed to the music, and even whether it's the words or the music to what I'm doing. So, I can start putting some stuff on there now, and just going to sit and edit stuff down to 59 seconds.
Because shorts go more viral than regular, because even whenever I post my my podcasts on YouTube, because a lot of people listen to podcasts through YouTube, even though they are audible rather than visual.
Yeah.
Right. I may only get about, when I look at the analytics, the average time is only about 3 to 5 minutes. I mean, it's an hour podcast.
Really?
Yeah. So that's why I'm thinking they're obviously listening to the whole thing when they download that through iTunes or Spotify or whatever else, but it seems like that for those who are watching or listening to this on YouTube, I don't have the length of time that I should. And I think that's because the people typically who go to YouTube are looking for a visual thing, and mine's an audible thing. And after a few minutes, they might decide either they like it or don't. But I just think that that a short is something that is for short attention, like you said, about 60 seconds.
Yeah, that's the way
it's like a TikTok kind of thing.
Yeah.
Do you use TikTok as well?
I'm on TikTok. I don't post as much on there.
I don't anything.
But I just threw something up, a week or two ago, and it got the most views of anything I've put up so far.
Really?
So maybe I'll start putting some more up there. Yeah. Do that. And you started a new thing too, right? The Whisper or something.
Thank you for thinking you remembered that. That's right. The Magic Whisper. I'm glad I haven't even mentioned that the last 4 days here.
Yeah.
What that is, for those who don't know what he's talking about, I've just started on the YouTube channel. It's basically a video, like about anywhere from 6 to 10 minutes, that basically is just saying, okay, here's who's going to be on this week, and here's a clip from that, and also I make it topical. Here's some of the news of the day. Here's someone who died, or here's a convention coming up, or here's what I'm doing, or there are just a quick few bites, that are in there, basically. So.
Yeah, little previews for what's coming up on the podcast, and if there's daily news or whatever, weekly news that you can throw in there. And so it's another great little thing. People should follow you there as well for that.
Thank you. And not many people have. When I've looked at some of the downloads, I've only had about 50 or 60 downloads, it seems like, of that. So I'm thinking, is it worth my time or not to put these things up there over there?
Yeah, some of them take a while to catch on. Keep plugging in on here, and the magicians will help.
But that's released on Tuesday mornings. And if you go to YouTube, Texas Magician, or you can just look for Scott Wells or the Magic Word Podcast, and you'll find that. And
so
it's called the Magic Whisper.
A couple days before the podcast comes out on Thursdays.
Exactly.
Yep. Cool.
It's on Thursdays.
Awesome. I listen every week, man. I love it.
How do you listen? Where do you hear? I mean, in your car? When you're walking?
Mostly in my car, or I haven't been walking lately, which I need to get back to. That's what I used to do, is listen to my walks. But even now, driving up here, I was only got to come for a couple days, but I listen to your daily updates of this to catch me up before I got here. I love.
So what you missed?
Yeah, I love your updates at all the conventions I don't get to go to, so I listen to them as they come out. And I wish it was more than once a week, because I love it. I listen to it all the time.
Well, thank you very much. It's a labor of love, and I do it for you and friends like you, who I'd love to listen. Michael, always a thrill to get to see you, my friend.
Great to see you too, Scott. Take care, man.
Magic Word Podcast. That was Michael Tricks. Scotty. One of the people who's walking around here has actually been walking around throughout all this convention, because he's doing a documentary, and I thought I'd have a chance that we're both in the media doing our own projects, so we might as well meet up. And so I've got with me right now the director of this, Peter Johnston. How's it, Peter?
Hey, yes. How's it going?
Fine. Nice to meet you. And so is this a project I understand that you're going to be doing for college or something? Is it a graduate course, or what's this for?
It's an independent project. I teach film at Michigan State University. I'm in the production faculty of the film studies program, but this is an independent documentary project that's kind of been kicking around my head for several years, since 2019. And, of course, the idea was kind of spawned, and then the pandemic happened, and
there was that.
There was that thing. But this felt like the right year to restart it. And I was actually at my first get-together when I was maybe 11 in the mid-'90s.
Because you've been coming here to Abbott's?
I was a magician, and my partner and I, my friend, we would do birthday parties and school functions, and we, of course, we got the Abbott's catalog.
Yeah.
And it was our Sears catalog, and his dad took us to the get-together to go to Abbott's and kind of experience it. And we were just, our eyes were as big as saucers, and street buskers doing magic and flea market, things for sale, and we spent all our money at Abbott's. And
right.
And so, flash forward to now and into film, it just felt like the right time to sort of combine two passions, film and magic, and work on this project. And so, we've been hard at work this week.
You need to jump right in sometimes, even though you think, those were the good old days, or these are the good old days.
Right.
Because you were talking about the street magic and things that were sold on the streets. I was just remarking about that to someone earlier. When you would go down towards the high school, that street was full on both sides of people selling things out of their trunk and out of the backseat of their car, as well as tents set up and whatever, and people camping and everything, before you get to the gym where the shows are going to be. And then they had a whole lot of dealers over in the elementary school.
Right.
And now it's kind of limited to about 9 or 10 dealers or so. It's just everything's kind of scaled back a little bit, and I don't know why, but it's a different feel. But it's still has that feel of family. That family feel has never left.
That's the sense that I've gotten, and it also feels like the way that things have gone and maybe sort of scaled back, and certain things are not as big of a focus as they had been.
Right.
It's important to still preserve, the stories of this kind of institution. And, for me, I grew up in Michigan. I'm from here, and I think this is kind of a hidden history that, everybody should know about, because there's such amazing, incredible stories of people who have gone through here and who made Colon what it was and is.
And how they've moved on to other professional careers.
Yeah, but, the thing that ties them all together and unites them is magic. And that's what draws people here every year during this week. So, I'm just grateful to get a chance
Those
to tell
of us
the
who
story.
never want to leave have actually got grave sites, so we'll be here forever.
And, as you should be, amongst friends.
That's right, amongst friends.
In a place that's home.
That was what Bob Lund's grave or headstone says, among friends.
Among friends.
Yeah.
And, who could say it better?
Yeah, that's true. Well, Peter, good luck on this. And when will this be released? And will it be available, like you're going to hope to try to take this to doc shows or something?
Yeah, I mean, the goal is to have it done next summer, film festivals, maybe do a premiere at the get-together. I mean, that would be amazing.
It would.
But then, distribute it online and have it available so everybody can see it, and publicize it through all the Facebook channels and everything that these folks know about.
Well,
and on the podcast.
Thank you. I have got definitely for sure from that. I've got a video that's on my website, on my YouTube channel, that if you wish to use any piece of that, I'm giving you right now, I'm giving you approval to use, lift any of that.
Fantastic.
Because I was back there in 83, and I was walking around, and you could see some of those things we're talking about, how they were selling things out of their trunks and everything. If you go to the YouTube search engine and just look for Texas Magician or Scott Wells Magic or something, you'll find it.
Okay.
It goes. It's one that's kind of deep back in there, but it was about an hour film, I think. Basically, I think. Let me think about that. No, I take that back. It was on Vimeo. It's on Vimeo, not on YouTube. So check out Vimeo for Scott Wells.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this on the podcast so that other people can go back and check this out too if you want to just kind of see what this was like back then. It was a little bit different.
Oh, fantastic. I think I've seen your Vimeo.
Okay. Well, if there's a piece of that for whatever reason you want to use, feel free to use that. I'd be honored to know that's living on.
I appreciate that
you
much.
bet.
And thanks
Peter,
for talking to me.
You bet. Peter, congratulations on, before it's even out, but thank you, congratulations on putting this all together, taking that first step to do this. So
yes.
Good luck with this.
I appreciate all of the welcome that the community has given me, and stay tuned for more.
Exactly right. That's the way to put it. Stay tuned for more. So for the Magic Word Podcast and this party, we got a boogie. That was Pete Johnson. Scotty out. All right. Well, it's about time for the awards of ceremony. Last night we had the contest awards, and tonight we're going to be having the awards as far as manipulation awards and et cetera, et cetera. And oh, wait a minute. I'm late. I came in the room and it's already over. So B.J. Mallon, tell me, who did I miss? What happened?
Well, first of all, it's my apologies, Scotty. I should have waited for you, of all people. But so we gave away several awards this evening. We gave away the Jack Gwynn Excellence in Presentation Award. That went to the Evisons. We gave away the Senator Crandall Comedy Award. That went to Martin Sierp from Germany. We also gave away the Jerry Conklin Abbott's Magic Family Award. That one is picked by Jerry Conklin's kids. Jerry was a gentleman who worked during the get-together, hanging up lights and all kinds of stuff. He was a long-time magician and just would do anything for the Abbotts get-together. So someone who is in a similar situation gets honored with that award. This year it was David Seabock, who does the night before party. And then lastly, we had the Neil Foster Bill Baird Manipulation Award, and that was given to Alex Boyce from the Tannins group.
Wow. Well, I see they're still here. Maybe I can go over and grab a word from them for a minute. Thank you. I'm glad you told me about that.
Sorry you missed it, Scotty.
No, it's okay. I was waiting in there thinking, okay, people are going to be coming in here shortly. So I didn't get a chance to be here in time. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You guys.
We just learned there was a party or something.
You just learned what? So congratulations, Tessa, in winning the award. I was just over there. I thought they were going to be having this award a little bit later, so I was coming in and going to be taking pictures and everything. So congratulations to you. So what are you going to do with the prize money? You going to Disneyland?
Something of the kind. Maybe we'll go to Las Vegas and we'll fly tomorrow.
Like tomorrow?
Yes.
There's an idea.
Maybe we'll go to Magic 5 and see some Vegas shows. I
would love to go.
I think that's a good plan.
That'd be a good way to turn. And David Seabock had won an award as well, of course, as your other half over here, that you had won the award as well. Congratulations.
That was
David Seabock.
a very unexpected honor. I was really surprised. So good things happen sometimes.
Well, they certainly do. Congratulations, Jeff, also then to you.
Thank you, Scott. Yeah, what a surprise. We didn't even know they gave awards.
Yeah, this is our first time here at Abbott.
Make sure to come in here at least, so you kind of knew to...
You know, Matt Schick kept texting, and I didn't have my phone turned on.
Okay.
So Matt he was Schick calling and texting, but the phone was turned off. We made it.
All right, well, that sounds great. And congratulations then to you. And so it was a surprise, and obviously then to you.
I pulled the rug out from under me there.
Let me get a quick picture of you guys here in just a second. And, of course, the person who won the Bill Baird Award that BJ was telling us about was my friend that you've been hearing from for this last day or two. It's Alex Boyce. You've been everywhere, and congratulations, Alex.
Thanks so much. Thank you. It's such a surprise because, especially, I was in a competition, but it's cool that Abbott's does this. They give out awards to the performers, and it's a great little extra treat to go home with.
Yeah, and I was saying you were doing everything because you were lecturing, you're performing, and you then were kind of around all the time, plus squiring your dad around every place. I mean, and the fact that you won this is icing on the cake to see him, to have him to be so proud of you and sing this then too.
Absolutely. It's such a treat. And of course, I've always admired Bill Baird, especially Neil Foster. It was really amazing. I think especially to see someone so dedicated to manipulation and to meet so many of his students through the Chavez School. It was clearly something he was really passionate about. So it's really exciting to see his name on this.
So what are you going to do with your money you won?
We're going to go to the Conklins for the big party.
I'll see you there.
Last night party.
That sounds fun. So with the magic word, those were the winners. Scotty out. The party is just about to end as far as the 86th annual get-together of Abbott's in Colon. However, that the party is just starting over at the Conklins over here. And one of the people that has been in attendance with a low profile from the Chicago Magic Lounge is my friend Devin. Hey, Devin.
Hey, how's it going, Scott?
Fantastic. So you were just saying, how long you been working at the Chicago Magic Lounge?
Since the very beginning. Yeah.
I mean, like at the first one, right?
Yes, back in 2015.
Mm-hmm. They were there for 5 years? Or?
At the first place, we were there for probably a year and a half, something like that, 2 years. But that was 2015, and then after that, we ended up getting lucky having an investor come in, and we ended up wanting to do a speakeasy. And so since February 19th of 2018, we've been over at the new location.
Right.
And it's been going great. Yeah. Then we had COVID, of course, happen.
Yep. Well, you were doing things online then, too.
Oh, yeah. 504 days, but who's counting? And then we opened back up, and we're very fortunate that we had people actually tuning in on Zoom.
Yeah.
Because with them having that, keeping people in the mind, or the magic in the mind of people, rather, it was just really nice to be able to see that magic is back.
Well, the nice thing is, I think, the way that you bring magic back to Chicago, because Chicago is a magic community, a city. Certainly, it has a long history of magic, and for a while there, it's kind of like, where do you go for magic? Because it used to be, of course, the magic at the bars, and then as those places started to close, then I guess Joey had opened this place, and then things just took off because it had a built-in audience just looking for entertainment. Because as well as live theater, which I understand at the Rhapsody Theater is going big guns.
Yeah, of course. That was the idea that we really want to run with. Bill Weimer came out with a book, Now You See Them, Now You Don't. Joey read this book and wanted to kind of bring that back, revitalize that old tradition of magic scene. Which was all about bars and and a little bit of magic, New York Lounge, Pickle Barrel, Mr. C's Magic, all these things back in the day, all just kind of fell to the wayside. And Shulians, of course, Shulians, that started it all, right? Yeah. And so the idea to be able to actually have a community, a centralized hub, community for those to be able to kind of come in and hang out, that was the idea. And we start now finding through the years, a lot of magicians have been moving back from LA and from New York, and actually moving back to Chicago. Because back in the day, in the 80s and stuff, everybody kind of just flocked over to the castle.
Yeah,
and it kind of went that way.
Yeah, they're coming back to Sweet Home Chicago.
That is exactly what's happening.
Wow, that's interesting. And as far as the years you've been there and having seen everybody, has there been somebody that has been I hate to say favorites, but someone that at least to your mind, that has fond recollections, like I really enjoyed this guy or gal?
It is tough to go and say, because I know I'm very fortunate that I get to be around a lot of these people. Yeah. And the greats, I get to rub elbows with. Of course, you got Matt King, you got Mike Cavey. But David Williamson, these are the people I'm very fortunate to share a green room with and actually have those conversations and stuff. Sure. So it is very tough to go and say.
And whenever that the audience, seems to enjoy somebody, I'm sure that by just saying their names, like, oh, I remember that guy, they're going to come back. Is there is it packed every night, or is there some that's kind of ebb and flow that sometimes, I guess, maybe depending upon the weather, or maybe, I'm just wondering if somebody brings them in. They say, okay, Lucy Darling's coming, so oh my gosh, I got to go see her, or something.
Yes, we of course she had a nice run with us, and for the 3-month stint, we're open 7 days a week. We open at 5:00 every day. Yep. And people are always still. We have regulars that come in and actually hang out at the bar, seen the same magicians, and still want to come back. Yeah. But of course, then those magicians that do come from out of town, we have the Chicago Magic Roundtable, which that kind of is the email blast that most people kind of get that draw. Most of the time, I feel that the crowds that are coming to us aren't necessarily coming for the name. They're coming for the Chicago Magic Lounge name, rather. Yes, and the experience that they've heard that their friends have had. Yeah. And so when they're getting to see these greats on stage, they don't know what they're getting. Right. And, I always try to tell them, you guys are in for a heck of a show tonight.
It doesn't matter who's here, because there's nobody but the top-notch people who are going to be coming in.
It's always the top-notch.
It's always going to be. That's great. Now, do you work on the bar side? I know that Jeff is working like the main bar, and then there's a side bar inside in the lounge. Is that where you are? Or
No.
Working also
it's the same
you're
bar.
You're working with Jeff also.
It's the same. Okay. It's the same bar. So in the front bar is the pre-show kind of thing before everybody goes in, and so we have several magicians that will work throughout the week. Monday is kind of a swing kind of position at this point, but normally on Tuesdays you'll find Al James, and he's a legend in Chicago style magic. Of course, he works at Shulians, still does work at Shulians, and he's always working around the city. But on Wednesdays you'll find me there, so resident on Wednesday nights. Thursdays we have Jeff Bibick through Sunday. So Thursday through Sunday is where Bibick will do it.
I was talking to someone who's saying that they sometimes don't even see the show. They come in and see Bibick, or they just have a drink after work, and then leave and
Yeah,
never
that's
stay.
exactly what happens. Yeah, with me though too, and because we switch out on Friday nights
Yeah.
and Saturday nights, we'll have another magician that'll switch out around 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And so when people come out of the show, now they can see, oh, hey, I didn't see this guy, I didn't see that magician. They want to stay and hang out and have that camaraderie. And of course, it's just that a lot of people come back for Bibic, and that certain magician, that they appreciate.
Yeah, it's a fun place, and I think people should. If you haven't been to Chicago Magic Lounge, you need to make a pilgrimage, certainly there.
Most definitely.
It's great, and it's going big guns, and now that you've got a permanent home there, it's great. And then with the small theater they've got, was it 524, 620?
The 654 Club. Yes. So we have that front bar section, which is our kind of is a bar stage. Yeah, that's what we treat it as. We have the lights, the sound, and everything goes along with it. It's not just kind of the old heba haba where you're kind of walking up and down the bar and serving drinks and stuff. We're thinking about doing that old school way. But we wanted to streamline it so that everybody's getting their show.
Yeah.
We have the lights, like I said, and sound for about 30 minutes, and then you take your break, and then, of course, you can do walk-around stuff while the actual main stage is happening. So you don't want to interrupt, that's curtain. But then, of course, then you have the main stage room, which is 107 seats. And with people that have premium tickets, yes, they do get that opportunity to go over to the 654 Club, which is a 40-person seat theater, a little more intimate, tiered seating. Where,
it is smaller, and it's an extra ticket event, right?
If you buy a premium pass or a premium ticket, of course, it's just included in that. But if not, you can get on a wait list, talk to your waiter, your server, and be able to see if somebody, just wanted to leave early and, had a good time already. But if I tell people, if you want to do it right, you can get 4 hours of magic, see different magicians the entire time. You come an hour before your ticket time, and then you can do 6 o'clock. You'll get to go and see, like I said, maybe Bibic. You go into the.
If they're lucky, they get to see you.
If they're lucky. Yeah. But of course they go inside and then come around after doing the main stage for an hour or 2 hours rather. With walk-around happening. And then you have the 64 Club, another 30 minutes, and then they come back out and switch it out for another magician. So if you really love magic, you can do a good 4 hours there.
Because you do have a lot of repeat customers, do you switch out your routine in different...
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, of course. It's nice to be able to try new things, and, you want to always stay on your game. But what the trusted, tried and true is, of course, and what people have already been coming back for. So you don't want to switch up
because they come in and say, hey, would you do this for old Bob or Sue or
whatever?
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. And you gotta kind of show up for that.
So how do you handle this whenever somebody says, hey, show them that thing where the cigarette goes through the quarter, or where that my signed card ends up in your pocket or whatever?
Right.
It's like
that way you're just like, okay, hold on. You put your finger to your mouth, kind of like, come on, you're kind of tipping the hat a little bit here. The punchline is already being told of the joke at that point, right? But you just say, okay, I appreciate that, and we'll get around to that. And just let it happen organically.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Because I think that time delay of doing maybe another trick or two before then doing that. Now you go into that effect of the quarter or cigarette through quarters.
Yeah. So I'm just mentioning that just for those guys who are restaurant workers or whatever.
Most definitely.
Or even trade shows. I've got people who come back, the next year and say, hey, do this thing you did with the business card with this guy.
Yeah.
So if you do something else, and then that's exactly right. You got the key there. Well, since we are at Colvin, and we just finished the evening show, I want to wrap up here then, Devin, with the whole fourth day with you. And we've had a great convention. You've been here for all the 4 days, right?
Just come in yesterday. I just got in on Thursday night because I was working Wednesday over at the lounge.
Well, there you go then. But I've got a lot of content already out that everybody's been talking about the last few days, but this evening show was the Germans, which they came in, which amazing. I thought was an amazing show.
Yes.
What were your thoughts on? I can't pronounce everyone's name. Actually.
I know.
Other than Clemens Ilgner, who was the MC, and Axel Hecklau, who had just come through Magic Inc., I guess, in Chicago, and had lectured for you guys, I think, a while back then too.
Yeah.
But I can't remember the other two gentlemen's names.
And it's unfortunate. They say it so fast.
They do. And they're using some foreign language.
Yeah.
that I can't pronounce too well, and I apologize for that.
Yes.
Anyhow, your thoughts?
No, but that was fantastic. They did a great job. They handled the crowd well. They understood and respected, I think, the magic Abbott's Magic family, and they understood what this whole convention's about.
Yeah.
And it's they're very forgiving in a sense with what happened, what's going on with the show. It was just amazing to see from across another country and how they would deal with their magic and how they would deal with their patrons as well.
There are so many people who come to this convention for their first time and say, I want to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And then they do, and then they kind of make it their home.
That's it.
There have been, for an example, this is Matt King's 4th year coming. Of course, I knew he had won here, or placed, way back when, in the contest and everything. But he's kind of at a point in his career, just like Lance Burton. It's kind of like, I think I kind of want to lay back a little bit, and this would be a good convention, and it's a fun convention just to hang out,
Yeah, and that's what's nice. It's the best thing to do is, I think, to come in on maybe Sunday or Monday before the convention begins. You kind of get to hang out with your friends and stuff like that are actually living here.
Yeah.
The actual residents that have brought us in and welcomed us into their homes, just like the Conklins, and how we're here at this party. You just feel like family, and and then once Wednesday hits, it's just a run around. It moves so fast, and you're saying hello to so many different people you missed for a whole year.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a beautiful thing.
So over the years, let me kind of close. What has been like an outstanding memory of something, whether it's been a show, a person, or somebody sitting in the 5-star pizza that said something or showed you a trick, or what?
Oh my goodness! Of course, memory? I mean Harriet. Who can forget Harriet? Learning to be able to scream Harriet.
Yeah.
To be able to meet all these people and rub elbows and stuff, it's always been so great. Yes, but the card throwing, at 5-star, that's just a staple. I always have to do that every year.
Have you ever gotten one over the building?
Not on the building. No, but I've gotten it on a car, across the street.
Across the street, well, that's good.
One of my favorite memories of that, I don't know how many years ago it was, but we're all throwing cards, and Tony Gerard, comes from across the street from his car, and all of a sudden just starts he's holding his head, he's yelling, "Oh, ow, ow, ow!" And we're like, "What's going on? Are you okay?" And then he had a card that was stuck to his forehead, but he had torn, and put spirit glue on, and put a little fake blood since he was from since he owned a haunted house and did all that, so he wanted to be funny. And so some of the younger magicians were like, "Oh no,
sorry." Was it me who hit you? I don't know which card hit you over there.
Yeah,
that's funny.
That was a fun little story there. Yeah.
Well, it's been a great convention and a lot of fun, and a good way to wrap up things. And Devin, good to see you. I'm anxious to get back to Chicago and get to see you perform again live. So,
I can't wait.
Good luck. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
So, with the Magic Word Podcast, I think that is a wrap. That was Devin as we kind of drift off to the next convention as we're going to head to Chicago. And so from Chicago, I'll be catching a plane out to Las Vegas for Magic Live. And then we'll do this all over again. So stay tuned. We're going to be having another report in a couple days, which will be a report from Sunday night and Monday. So we'll be taking a breather here for at least one day from listening to my voice. So until we hear the next one, probably on Monday when I release it after the end of the evening. It's going to be a long night and day and night in a couple of days. But it's all for you. Thank you guys very much for listening. So for the Magic Word Podcast, Scotty out.